we've got Arun Iyer, the National Creative Director of Lowe Lintas, playing a double role. He asks some very pertinent questions regarding Indian creativity and where it stands today. How it stacks up against its counterparts. Watch Arun in action as he quizzes himself, playing both interviewer and interviewee. Let's not waste any more time and start this rather interesting introspection.
Hi, this is Arun Iyer. Welcome to Brand Equity. And today I'm going to be interviewing a very interesting character called Arun Iyer. He's usually known to be politically correct, and you're going to meet him in a very different avatar today. Hi Arun, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Here's the first question for you. Where do you think Indian creativity stands in the global scene?
So if you talk about the global body of work, for me, the work that happens out of, let's say, a Wyden and Kennedy in the worldwide scene, a Droga 5, I think they're truly global pieces of work. They're massive ideas. I don't think India is really producing ideas that are that big, that are that universal. One, because we are not talking to a global audience, but we cannot make that an excuse to not come up with ideas that are that big. Somewhere I think we've gotten comfortable with the fact that we are only talking to the people within our country and only our nuances only we get. We can't hide behind it forever. I think it's time we start thinking of really huge ideas. I don't think that's happening yet.
Great point. So where do you think Indian agencies are really lacking? What are the areas that they're really lacking in?
So I think Indian agencies are lacking on quite a few fronts, to be honest, because I think the fact that this whole digital conversation, okay, so I think what's happening is we are very comfortably, I think both mainstream agencies and digital agencies are hiding behind the lack of talent in each other. So the mainstream agency is confident that the digital agencies guys don't know much about ideas, and the digital agency guys are very confident that the mainstream agency guys don't know enough about technology. Now we're both hiding behind each other's backs and hoping that the other one doesn't crack it. So that cannot be the modus operandi. We have to at some point in time come out and say one of us has to crack it, and that has to change. I think that's one of the biggest areas that we are lacking in.
So Arun, for the amount of work that is generated by the Indian advertising and marketing fraternity in a year, why do you think there is such little good work that you see? If there are times at the end of the year when you sit down and you're trying to pick the best pieces of work, it's so difficult to do it. Why do you think that is happening?
It's a question that's been bothering me as well, because I think about, and I don't think I'll be exaggerating if I say about 80% of the work is genuinely mediocre out there. It's only, and I'm being liberal when I say 20% is great. I think out of that it would be about 10% is good and another 10% that's great. I just think that balance is scary. It's scary for the advertising industry, it's scary for the marketing industry, because there is so much money being spent on such mediocre stuff. If that balance doesn't tilt, it's going to be really bad scenes for us.
Given that all of this is true, what's the way out for Indian advertising to make a mark in the global scene?
So I think we need to get a definitive style for ourselves. I think one of the things that for too long we've been pandering to the global audience and creating work that is their idea of our country. We have to get our own signature style and say this is the kind of great work that we do in our country, and let them recognize it. Rather than they believe that the images of poverty and they carry certain images of India, and only when you deliver something in that genre is when they recognize it. We have to make them recognize far more than that. Like the guys from Thailand did it. They created a unique tone for themselves in humor, and they said that's the kind of stuff that will come out of Thailand. We have to get a signature style, and it can't be one style, but the world has to start recognizing, saying, hey, that's interesting. That's the kind of stuff, because I think Today we are in a time and age where people are willing to understand your culture and say, hey, this works within your culture. We can't hide behind the fact that you don't get us anymore. That was really honest and really insightful. Can I have your last comments on what would your message be to the advertising and marketing industry? So I think more than the advertising industry, the closing remarks would be valid to myself is that let's try and push as much as we can at every attempt. We will not succeed every time, but if we don't try and do that with almost every piece of work, the quantum of mediocre work is just going to go up, and we have to really do something to reduce that quantum of work. Thank you, Arun. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being so candid. Thank you, and I hope we do create better work in 2015.